I figure I should start putting trigger warnings at the beginning of videos that have heavier topics. So, trigger warning, I will be talking about depression, suicidal ideation, and yeah, I think that's it for the triggers. Also, halfway through this video, a crumb materializes on my lip. I'm not re-recording this video just because there's a crumb on my lip. So, as of now, there is no crumb on my lip, and there is no war in Ba Sing Se. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
Let me break you down. I'm sorry that you had a fucked up life. Bitch, I didn't.
Tokyo Tony, let me just say that I am so glad that you didn't have a messed up life because I did. And that's what we're going to talk about today because this is my channel and I talk about what I want to talk about, and today I'm talking about myself and my messed up life. Is something on my lip? Y'all have got to start telling me if there's stuff on my face. I cannot keep re-recording videos because there's stuff on my face. Anyways, hi, hello, how you doing? Today we're talking about my messed up life. Specifically, we're talking about... Actually, no, I'm not gonna cap it. We're gonna get straight into this. So, when I turned 18, I saw the doctor. Okay, I went to the doctor, a psychiatrist. I went specifically for ADHD. That's what I thought I had. Well, I mean, I do have it, but like that's what I went in for, right? I came out diagnosed with a whole host of a bunch of other things, including CPTSD. What is CPTSD? 1 second. CPTSD definition minus AI. Thank you. Yes, CPTSD, aka complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is a mental health condition that, oh, okay, girl. Let's skip that. It's often the result of prolonged, repeated trauma, and its symptoms can be severe and far-reaching. Thank you, Google. You can go now. So, when I got diagnosed with CPTSD, at first I didn't even know what it was. I only knew about regular PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which is something that occurs after, like, one really traumatic event. Yeah, that's what I knew. Okay, I didn't know nothing about CPTSD, so I started doing research, I find out what it is, and I sit back, and I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. It was honestly very validating, because I knew my life was messed up, but to have it on paper, to have gone to a psychiatrist, told her about my life, and she said, yeah, you're so messed up that you have prolonged trauma that you have to deal with. It did something for my little heart. It was a sad moment, for sure. Yeah, not an easy diagnosis to get, but the validation was appreciated. Let's talk about how I developed CPTSD real quick. So, every time I start to talk about my past, I feel like that one meme where it's like,
my father gets a job at the Palm restaurant. My uncle.
But like, I gotta give you the background for the rest of the video to make sense. So here we go. My life from kindergarten to 3rd grade was normal. Then my parents get divorced. I get homeschooled. Then I move in with my mom in a completely different state. Then in that completely different state, we get in a car accident, right? Then I move back to my home state of Atlanta. Y'all, I just caught that. Home state of Atlanta? State of Atlanta? Girl. Oh my god, open the schools. Right? And then we are homeless. We are homeless. And we are homeless again. Another note from Editing Kennedy, I don't think I clarified this. When I say homeless, I mean we technically didn't have an address. We were basically couch hopping. Yeah. There was a roof over our heads, but we were not out on the streets. Let me just make that clear. My mom and I moved around a lot. We went from apartment to my aunt's house to hotels to blah, 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 blah. We moved around a lot, okay? I didn't have like a stable home life until I want to say sophomore year, right? My mom finally gets a house. We're like, yay, this is our forever home. Whoop-de-doo. And then a week into living in that house, my mom dies out of nowhere. Boom. So I'm moving again. I move in with my grandparents and my dad and my uncle, and we're in this tiny ass house that has like 5 people and 1 bathroom, and then we move again. We move to the house that we're in currently. I graduate high school, and I forgot to mention that like in the middle of this, I think in middle school, my mom had a baby. So yeah, I have a sister with like a 13-year age gap, and I'm taking care of her because my mom's always working, and we're moving and all this stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. It sucks. It was a lot. In the middle of all of that, in the middle of my mom having a kid, in the middle of us moving, in the middle of her dying, I am also struggling with ADHD. I'm struggling with depression. I'm reaching out to my mom. I'm telling her, hey, I have depression, but she is black and she is Christian, and she is telling me to go pray to God. But the thing about God is that to me, and this is going to be controversial. This is going to be controversial for some of y'all. To me, he's not real. No disrespect. No disrespect to Christians. No disrespect to Christianity. But to understand why I got away from it, you have to understand this. Throughout all of the time that I spent growing up in this unstable environment with a mom who did not support me emotionally or mentally, I cried so much and I prayed so much. And back when I was Christian, I bent over backwards and I prayed. I did what I was supposed to do. Okay, I read my Bible. I went to God for everything. And I was still depressed. I still wanted to end my life. I remember one night I had a really bad breakdown. My mom had yelled at me that day. She yelled at me a lot. Like, we'll get to my mommy issues in a second, but I was having a particularly bad day. I was feeling incredibly powerless, incredibly stressed out from our living situation. I was tired of taking care of my sister. As much as I love her, children should not be taking care of children. I was tired of the pressure from my mom. I went out into my aunt's garage, because at the time we were living with my aunt. I went out to her garage and I broke down real bad. And while I was crying in that garage, ripping my hair out. Yeah, I was ripping my hair out. I was like pulling my hair from my scalp, trying to distract myself from the pain I was feeling internally. And while I was doing that, it occurred to me that no one was coming to save me. That all of my praying, all of my prayer, all of my Bible reading was for naught. Because I was still miserable and I was still stuck inside my head. I was still suffering with depression. And my life was less than ideal. So yeah, I say a lot to say God isn't real to me, and I needed real solutions. I needed real therapy. I needed real medication. Stuff that I have now that I did not have then. Okay? I forgot where I was going with that. Okay, so I told you about my messed up life. I hope you were following. It was kind of chaotic. I hope you got all that. Because, that is what led to me developing CPTSD, amongst other things. Like, yes, those events occurred, but in the middle of that, I was also dealing with my mom. I think this is where we talk about the mommy issues. See, my mother was not perfect. Most people aren't, and for that, I will give her grace. However, I cannot give her too much grace. Because you messed me up. You messed me up real bad. Your issues, or your refusal to address your issues, has turned me into a messed up adult. And now I have to work through all of my issues and your issues in order to function. What can I say about my mom? Make no mistake, I loved her, and I'm grateful for all the things that she did. However, there were big, glaring issues with her parenthood, starting with the fact that she did not take my mental issues seriously at all. I'm going to her, right? I'm going to my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm depressed. She tells me to pray about it. Did prayer work? No, it didn't. The only thing that worked was antidepressants, which I didn't get until she passed. So I stayed miserable, right? Another thing that she did, if I kept going to her with my issues, hey Mom, I'm depressed. Hey mom, I don't want to be alive anymore. You know what she would do? First, she would tell me to pray. But if I went to her too much about it, she would start, oh my God, she would do this thing where she would blame herself. She'd be like, I'm doing the best I can. I can't believe you, blah, 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 blah. I guess I'm just the worst mother ever. She could not admit fault. Probably because she was a Leo. Yeah, she couldn't admit fault. She couldn't take fault for what she did, which really pissed me off because she had this big thing about breaking generational curses. Now, again, this is where I have to give her grace because if her mom was worse than her, goddamn, like, I honestly can't even blame you for how you turned out. That being said, in the way of breaking generational curses, you still didn't do much because as I got older, our relationship got more strained. You feel me? The piece of our relationship was based off of me keeping my mouth shut about everything that we were going through. If I thought to complain about anything at any point in time, I was called selfish. So I didn't complain at all. I bottled up my feelings, and only when it was too much, only when I knew that I was at my breaking point, did I go to her. And then I would be met with no solutions. You might be wondering where my dad is in all of this. Because my parents were divorced, he's living with his parents and I'm living with my mom. Yeah. Now, it's not like my dad was completely like not there. Like if I called him, I could get an answer. Or if I wanted to see him, we would arrange a weekend where I would go see him. But, yeah, he wasn't like physically in the house with me. And because of that, I know he did not see the extent of my mental issues. So I can't fault him too much. But also I kind of can. Because you gotta understand that both of my parents are black. Both of them are Christian. Both of them are from the South. That is a very nasty combo when it comes to acknowledging mental issues, okay? It's very much a sweep it under the rug kind of culture. You know, you don't talk about these things, you pray them away. These are your demons to deal with. And if you can't deal with them, read a Bible, pray it away. Or if you're like me and you need some real shit, like not a Bible verse, but like actual fucking meds and therapy, then you're SOL, okay? Because again, mental issues aren't real. They're demons. They don't exist for real. That mentality is probably why it took so long for me to get actual mental help. I did not start seeing a therapist regularly until my mom passed, and it was the church's therapist. So you can imagine how much help that was. If you can't imagine how much help that was, she just told me to pray about it and then sent me on my way. So I was like, okay, I need like an actual therapist who can help me out with my mental issues. I go to an actual therapist. I'm telling her about how I'm struggling in school because in the midst of everything that's happening to me, I also have to be in school. I also have to perform well because my self-worth is attached to my academics because I have literally nothing else. I'm struggling so bad with social anxiety at this point. I mean, yes, I have friends, but like, I'm not the most social. I'm not the most outgoing. And people were very quick to point that out. They're like, you're so shy. You're so awkward. You're so this. You're so that. And that led to me picking myself apart more and becoming more self-conscious and socializing less because of that. So I'm telling my therapist about how I'm struggling in school and how I'm struggling with socializing. And she tells me, you probably have ADHD. Go get that checked out. I go to my dad. I'm like, all right, let's go get evaluated. Let's go do this. And he's like, all right, I go get evaluated. I come back with a diagnosis for ADHD and a whole bunch of other shit. And that brings us to where we are now. I got that diagnosis when I was 18. I'm 21 currently. It has been 3 long years of working with myself, trying different medications, journaling, EFT tapping, literally doing anything to release the trauma from my body, to process it, and to also become like a regulated human. Does that make sense? Because depression and ADHD are like the wombo combo. They mess you up real bad, okay? I cannot express to you how little I was functioning before I took medication. I think I can express it to you. I wouldn't leave bed. It was impossible for me to think positively. I did not see any light at the end of the tunnel. I was in a really bad place. The thing about major depression is that you can't really do anything about it. Like, your doctor will tell you, well, you should eat well and you should go out more and you should go for a walk and hang out with your friends. Does that make you feel better in the moment? Sure. But does it address the underlying emptiness that you carry with you every second of the day that threatens to swallow you whole? Nah, it doesn't. And that's the frustrating thing about depression. Unless you can find some way, unless your brain decides to let up on you chemically, there's really no getting out of it. Enter antidepressants. I go to my doctor, I do the depression thing. You know how the doctor asks you questions that are like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worthless do you feel? On a scale of 1 to 10, do you want to die? I scored very high on that the first time that I took it. My doctor is like, let's get you on antidepressants. I get on antidepressants. Boom. I'm functioning. But not fully. Okay? Because there's a second player here. And I already mentioned her. Her name's Autism. That was like a Freudian slip. Her name's ADHD. Autism, it is kind of in there, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Or maybe we won't. Maybe I'll forget. Anyways, the second player is ADHD. Okay. Now, okay, I'm somewhat emotionally regulated. I kind of see a future for myself, but I can't do anything. Like, I physically, oh my gosh, executive dysfunction was kicking my hiney. I could not do much at all. I can't describe the feeling. You know what? Maybe I can. Let me try. It's like, you know that you need to do something so deeply, but you physically can't bring yourself to do it. That's what executive dysfunction feels like. It's like your body is made out of lead, and all you can do is stay in your bed and scroll through your phone and chase dopamine rather than actually doing something meaningful, because doing something meaningful takes so much effort and so much mental energy that you do not have. So that's how I was feeling. I couldn't do shit. I go to my doctor again. I'm like, hey, let me get some meds. She's like, let me give you some Adderall. I get on the Adderall. I feel great. I feel like I can punch the sun. Sidebar, I think it's so funny how if you have ADHD, you just get like a little bit of meth. Just a teensy weensy little bit of meth as a treat. So I'm taking this meth, right? It's not actually meth, by the way. They're chemically similar, but they are not the same. But I'm gonna call it meth. I'm taking this meth. It's cool. Eventually, the feeling dies down and I'm no longer able to function off the dose I'm taking. I get a higher dose and again, it's cool until it's not. I start breaking down. Like, the come down on this meth is harsh. I am depressed. I am unable to move. I'm like, this isn't normal. I go back to my doctor. I get off the meth and I get on another kind of meth. I'm taking Vyvanse now. And I feel okay. I feel okay, I guess. It's definitely not as like punchy as Adderall is. It's hard, again, it's kind of difficult to describe. It's like Adderall, I have the energy, but I don't have like the focus. Like, yes, I feel like I can punch the sun, but I also feel like I can do a million other things at the same time. Vyvanse, I have the focus, but the energy is not all the way there. Like, I very easily could just lay in bed all day and not do anything and just focus on my phone. I have to actively make the choice to get up and do stuff. But again, the great thing about ADHD medication is that I finally have the choice. Without it, there was no choice. I was just going to stay in bed all day and that's it. It's not laziness. People think it's laziness. It's not laziness. That executive dysfunction is going to get you every time. So currently, yes, I'm taking Vyvanse. I'm taking antidepressants. I've journaled a million times. What else have I done? Yeah, I've tried pretty much anything, any remedy in the book you can think about to regulate your nervous system. I have decided that cold showers and EFT tapping are the most effective, and that is what I do regularly now. I take cold showers. I don't take cold showers. The first half of the shower's hot, and then the last half, like for 5 to 10 minutes, I'm just under ice cold water. And when I step out, I feel like a brand new person. I'm medicated. I'm regulated. But there's something that I'm missing. Yes, I have tapped into my mental issues, right? But mental issues are not the only thing that CPTSD leaves you with. They leave you with a warped sense of self. What does that mean? It basically means what you think of yourself, your self-concept. Your self-concept. Did I say self-concept, self-worth? I don't remember what I said. But it's how you feel about yourself. It's what you think about yourself, right? Your self-concept is formed by your experiences, at least early in life. Now, later in life, you can kind of just like tell yourself who you are. But early in life, it's formed by what you experience. And because I experienced so much early on in life, I had a very messed up self-concept. The main thing that I felt was that I had no control over my life or my circumstances. I still feel that way. The problem is now I'm an adult and I do have control over my circumstances. In fact, I am the only one who can change my circumstances, but I still have that messed up self-concept from earlier in life. The thing about CPTSD is that it very easily could result in arrested development. Meaning that if I don't deal with all of the issues that CPTSD has left me with, I could just stay the same age where I like experienced all this messed up stuff. Basically, I'd be staying mentally like 14 or 15. That's scary. I want to be a functioning adult. I want to be young and turned. I want to go to the club. I want to shake my tush. I want to own a house. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. See, that's, again, self-concept, working on it. Anything is possible. I laughed because, bitch, look at the economy. Bitch, you might get a basement. You might get an apartment with a roommate, but no. I'm trying to fix that about my self-concept. Anything is possible. If I want to own a house, I can own a house. That's another thing about my self-concept. Not only did I feel, and I still do feel, out of control of my life and its circumstances, I felt very stuck when I was experiencing everything. I felt like nothing I did could change my circumstances, because nothing I did could change my circumstances. Like, realistically, what could I have done at the age of 11 to stop my parents from divorcing? What could I have done at the age of 12 to get us out of a motel? What could I have done at the age of 13 to stop my mom from treating me like a mini adult and not acknowledging my emotions? What could I have done at the age of 16 to stop my mom from dying? That leads to me being an adult, not feeling like I can do much about my circumstances, feeling out of control, feeling like nothing is possible. When I get to the root of why I had that mentality in the first place, it was because telling myself that nothing was going to change was easier than hoping for change and being disappointed later on. Damn, I'm getting deep. In order to become the person that I want to be, I have to acknowledge these outdated and false beliefs and how they've impacted the way that I move as an adult. And I'm doing it right now. Are you doing it? Sorry. Yes, I have made a lot of progress. It's been a lot of shedding, a lot of acknowledging these past beliefs, a lot of challenging these past beliefs. Because, you know, the way I think about it is like your old self has to die before you can become your new self. But your old self doesn't want to die. You developed that old self for a reason. You developed these old beliefs and old patterns for a reason. So when you try to kill it off, it's going to scream. Everything screams before it dies. And many times, these patterns and these negative beliefs have tried to drag me down again. At the end of the day, it's a matter of choice of whether or not I allow myself to be suffocated by my past. Yes, the past happened. Yes, it sucked, but it does not define me unless I let it, which I won't. I got stuff to do, okay? I have a life to live, and I can't live that life if I allow my past to hold me back. So, moral of the story, I'm working on myself. You knew that, though. I think you gathered that. You know, despite my messed up childhood and my CPTSD amongst other diagnoses, which I don't think I listed. Did I list them? I have depression. I have regular ass PTSD. They looked at me for OCD. I don't think they found it, but there are some tendencies there. Do I have my papers? Oh shit. Oh shit. I don't know where my papers are. That's a problem for Kennedy when the cameras are cut. For now, I will leave you with this. Anything is possible. Love yourself. Address your mommy issues because they will mess you up. Like, oh my gosh. There's so much I didn't tap into with that. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. And if you see me wearing this hat in another video, it's because my bangs are too short. Hold on.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So you're gonna be seeing the Gengar beanie in like every video following this. So just don't mention it. Don't talk about it unless you want to compliment it. And in that case, go ahead. That's all I have to say about my mental issues for today. I shall see you. Oh wait, did I ask you to subscribe? You should subscribe. It would make my heart fuzzy. Sorry, that sounds like a medical condition. I mean, like, it would make my heart feel fuzzy. I'm rambling. Subscribe if you want to. Or you don't have to if you don't want to. Like the video if you want to. Again, you don't have to if you don't want to. It is a free country. You can do as you please. And yeah, that's it. That's the video. Wish me luck on my endeavors, and I hope that you, right there, I hope that you have a great day.